Today we are going to go through all of Toma's powers and forms because despite being a level 0 Esper, he isn't exactly a normal high school boy as he claims to be. Everyone knows Toma for his mysterious power Imagine Breaker, located within his right hand, with the ability to negate supernatural powers, whether they are scientific or magical in nature, and also the source of his misfortune. While Toma is technically classified as an Esper, his Imagine Breaker isn't an Esper power, nor is it a magical base power either. It falls into an unknown category of power, which is one of the reasons why Imagine Breaker is so mysterious. If you're curious about the true nature of Imagine Breaker, I recommend you check out this video about its origins, but if you are more interested in its practical effects, then stick around instead. Imagine Breaker is a pretty self-explanatory ability. Toma has a special right hand. If it touches an Esper power or magic, it will be nullified. However, it does have some limitations. For example, if you burn an object using magic, and then Toma then touches that object, it won't be able to turn back to its original state. It's not like Crazy Diamond from JoJo. Despite this, Toma was able to revive Himigami even though she had been killed via the order of Aureolus Izzard's reality warping magic Ars Magna, likely because she was still under the influence of the spell rather than a consequence of the spell, if that makes sense. Also, against magic that regenerates faster than it is to nullify, such as Style Magnus's Inakentis or Index's Dragon's Breath, Toma cannot fully negate it, but can hold it back momentarily. Furthermore, against attacks imbued with Telesma, the magical energy which angels use, Toma can have a hard time negating it, such as Toma's fight versus Fiamma of the Right, where he could not fully negate the attacks, but was forced to push them aside instead. While Imagine Breaker is certainly very powerful, and has negated some world-destroying spells in both the anime and the novels, it definitely has weaknesses and limitations, even against supernatural abilities. Otherwise, the obvious counter to Imagine Breaker is clearly Gun from Persona, as there is no negating that. One other interesting thing about Imagine Breaker is that it can also destroy spiritual items, special magical objects that usually operate under the concept of idol theory. Imagine Breaker can also negate supernatural energies and beings. However, their form must primarily be made of either AIM energy like Kazakiri or magical energy such as Archangel Gabriel. It doesn't work against flesh and blood beings such as the physical bodies of certain demons or even dragons, as technically those are classed as physical entities despite being supernatural creatures. Speaking of dragons, let's talk about the multiple dragons within his right arm, as Imagine Breaker's true nature is that of a seal, which contains many weird and wonderful things. We got a glimpse in the Deep Blood arc where Izzard severed Toma's arm, which then unleashed the beast known as the Dragon King upon him. It's stated to specialize in decursing and psychological attacks, even destroying the memories of those it bites, without causing physical damage. And this is what happened to Izzard, as his memories were completely wiped and he essentially became a new person. How ironic that Toma, of all people, possesses this power to remove memories. And Imagine Breaker is even able to regenerate after being severed, with Toma's entire right arm being restored. In fact, each dragon was revealed to have a unique set of abilities by the Railgun editor on Twitter. Similar to the Dragon King, the Blind Dragon is also stated to have powerful psychological effects. In this case, the dragon is noted to cause those nearby to be overcome with terror and confusion. The One-Eyed Kerber Dragon is stated to be a water dragon that can summon rainstorms. Additionally, its fangs carry the undiluted concept of poison, so those it bites are either killed or subjected to a fate worse than death. I'll leave that for your imagination. The Four-Eyed Dragon is stated to possess multiple eye powers, including illusion and hypnotism powers that can blur the line between dream and reality. It is also stated to be a singer with a beautiful voice that can shatter objects. I wonder if his voice is as good as Idol Accelerator. And this apparently can even destroy shadow metal, which is a mysterious substance that appeared after the dragons made their debut in Railgun T. Now we have the Corpse Flame Dragon, an undead fire dragon covered in red flames erupting from its bones. This dragon is stated to damage things using an energy drain that apparently burns life force itself. Next, we have the Ice Crystal Dragon. It is stated to be capable of breathing ice and being as tough and solid as the planet itself. We also have the Spearhead Dragon, a yellow dragon with a large spear-like horn. It is stated to be capable of releasing lightning from its body and firing lasers from its mouth. And last but not least, the Angel Dragon, which also has multiple abilities. It can project a light from the cross on its forehead, and an object directly hit by the cross of light will be turned into salt, causing it to quickly crumble. Additionally, the feathers of its wings also possess special powers. Those stabbed with one are brainwashed as if hypnotized and turned into mindless puppets, faithfully following any orders given to them by the user. However, they are unable to think for themselves while under the effects of the feathers. The common attributes all dragons share is their ability to consume supernatural energy, as they managed to eat the black ball Misako was creating that was going to destroy all of Academy City. Now we have Toma's Precognition, which isn't a supernatural ability as such. It's more of an instinct he has developed via his experience in fighting opponents and muscle memory, which allows him to anticipate incoming attacks. Although part of it is from Imagine Breaker, which can attract attacks to it. Luckily for you guys, there is an old video on my channel explaining the finer details of this, so I recommend you check it out. Next is the Invisible Thing, which is another power sealed within Toma that notably appeared versus Fuyama of the Right in World War III, where a mysterious unknown presence emerged from his right arm, after Fuyama severed Imagine Breaker and absorbed it into the Holy Right. The Invisible Thing was capable of nullifying Fuyama's strikes in his one above God form, which could easily wipe out a planet. And even more surprisingly, it had some form of conscience, as Toma was able to communicate with it and even tell it to back down, as he wanted to be in control in the fight. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe for more Toma and Toaru videos, because there's a hell of a lot of them on the channel which you should check out. Now, I'm going to talk about spoilers from here on out from the light novels, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I recommend you click off this video right now. The Invisible Thing appeared yet again in the Baggage City arc, but this time it was easily crushed by Ophinus, and a similar situation happened again in New Testament 18, where Iwaz was able to crush it too, noting that it had actually increased in power since World War III. Therefore, it can be implied that either from Imagine Breaker being destroyed or the use of Imagine Breaker may increase the power of what is within Toma's arm, or at least weakens the seal, which is what happened in New Testament 22, which I will discuss very soon. While it's not an ability or power per se, I want to briefly mention the experience Toma gained while fighting Ophinus billions of times in New Testament 9. Since Toma has lived for way longer than any normal human ever would, and with most of that time spent trying to compete with a god, it can be argued that Toma is a much more competent fighter post New Testament 9 than before it. Although most of his rounds with Ophinus ended up with him getting instantly killed, nevertheless he was able to adapt to the attacks of a magic god at full power, even if he did lose in the end. This should improve his ability to adapt in fights and also counter attacks with more finesse, or at least that's what I think. It was even stated that Toma has a very high tolerance to pain thanks to this experience of being exposed to the infinite hells that Ophinus tormented him with, as when Style tortured Toma in the Tower of London, he noted his newfound tolerance to pain. Now let's discuss the fish eggs from New Testament 22, which only came about after Imagine Breaker was destroyed by Kuronzon's magic flaming sword spell. After it regenerated, Alistair noted something very worrying within Toma was nearing its limit, which proved to be true during Toma's second confrontation with Kuronzon, after her soul or metaphysical energy form was separated from her physical body by Accelerator. Toma's arm had been severed by Kuronzon after she hijacked the AAA, or anti-art attachment, which then caused Imagine Breaker to reach its limit. What appeared to be giant fish eggs emerged from Imagine Breaker and destroyed the metaphysical form of Kuronzon, and tore apart the temple on the Royal Yacht Britannia and split the ship in two, and apparently you would need enough force to destroy the world even to do that. No one really knows what the fish eggs are. Do they contain the dragons or something else? We did see something quite unexpected emerge afterwards instead. Later in the novels, a doppelganger of Toma emerged to the fandom, known as Kamijou no Toma, or K&T for short. Basically, K&T is a manipulative version of Toma who sees himself as the real deal, and he has all of Toma's memories, even the ones he lost of Shokuho and before he met Index. K&T stole Imagine Breaker for himself, which then gives the original Touma access to a form known as Dragon Shell, where he is able to turn into a dragon, but seemingly not as powerful as the dragons we are familiar with, as this dragon form was actually injured by throwing knives and forks at them. Yep, just normal things you'd find on a dinner table. Contrary to this, the shell part of the dragon is quite durable, as it can also endure a railgun blast. In this form, Touma can also briefly move as fast as a saint in short intervals. And obviously he can fly too, but he cannot breathe fire like normal dragons can. And Touma was actually also able to trade his dragon form with KNT once Touma stole back Imagine Breaker, as only one person can wield Imagine Breaker at once. Finally, the last form or ability or power on this list, which is also my favourite so far, Touma's Saint-Germain form. Saint-Germain is basically like a virus that is spread via swallowing pills containing it, which turns the user into part of the collective identity that is the legendary magician Saint-Germain. And a Sprengel forced Touma to swallow a buffed version of the pill, which was slowly killing Touma, as espers aren't allowed to use magic, as this is a magical pill. But Imagine Breaker was trying to keep him alive, negating some of the effects of the pill. Anyway, Touma communicated with the Saint-Germain inside him, coming to an agreement as they partnered together to take on Anna and Iwaz. This form gave Touma the ability to use magic. Yes, Touma used magic. How crazy is that to believe? Saint-Germain's magic is basically carbon magic, but specifically creating diamond structures, such as shields and pillars, utilizing them in both offense and defense. Touma and Saint-Germain were also able to switch places in the sense of being able to switch who was controlling Touma's body, but only Saint-Germain could use diamond magic, while only Touma could use Imagine Breaker. So their teamwork was essential to defeating Anna, Sprengel and Iwaz. But I know what you're thinking, how could Touma as an Esper use magic? Surely he wouldn't be able to sustain such a form, as technically it is forbidden for Espers to use magic, as they suffer internal damage if they do it, like with Motoi, but Motoi has auto rebirth as his Esper ability, which allows him to regenerate his cells over time. Well, Touma indeed was coughing up blood due to internal damage, but Saint-Germain was also reinforcing Touma's body with a diamond exoskeleton, which was helping keep Touma alive momentarily, despite the crazy amount of damage Touma was doing to himself. However, once Saint-Germain left Touma's body, he was treated by Heaven Canceller, the frog-faced doctor, and eventually brought back to health. If Saint-Germain did decide to stay in Touma's body and choose not to sacrifice himself, then Touma indeed would have died, killing them both. But Saint-Germain decided to let Touma live. What a nice guy. So that's all of Touma's powers so far. No doubt we will learn more about the dragons and the invisible thing and more, because basically Touma has an entire demon zoo in his arm. Let me know which form or power of Touma is your favourite down below in the comments, and remember, you can actually vote for future videos on my Patreon, link in the description. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.